I'm Barry Barker, president of our club, and I'm still the retired executive director of TARC. To lead us in our invocation is Judi Hanmaker. Judi is a realtor with unique relocations and a member of the invocation committee.
You are after Sam, or you're going to go on after Sam, and I said, if I learned anything in my MBA program, it's that you don't speak after Sam Jones. So he was gracious enough to let me go first. So I graduated from my MBA program about 3 years ago, and in the last couple of years, I started my own business. I opened up a dental practice off of Old Henry Road. I'm a dentist by trade. And so I'm very new to being a leader in the community of Louisville. And how blessed I am to have the opportunity every week to walk into this room and be surrounded by this group of leaders. There has never been a time that I have not come to a Rotary meeting, gone to an event, or even just sat at a table with Rotary members that it didn't add value to my life and to my ability to be a leader in this community. Meetings with my mentors have been of immense value, and the meetings that we have bi-monthly with our fellows group have really helped me to grow. So thank you all so much for adding so much value, and I think that what you do here for the community of Louisville is absolute magic. So I hope to continue to be a part of Rotary, and thank you again for everything.
When I first met Krista, I immediately looked up to her, and I think you can all see why. It's been a pleasure to serve and be friends with her. When the pressure's on. First and foremost, my name is Sam Jones. I currently serve as a litigation associate with Goldberg Simpson in Prospect, Kentucky, serving with commercial litigation matters. And for the past 3 years, as Krista said, I've been fortunate and had the privilege to interact and associate with many great people who I've come to adore, look up to, and learn from. And so in this brief moment where I get a chance to kind of wrap up everything I've sort of learned or taken in the past 3 years, I wanted to read to you one of my favorite quotes and kind of talk about how that applies. So essentially it's from Teddy Roosevelt. The quote is, "It is not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man has stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood." Every time I hear that quote, I think to myself, the blessings and the joy and the privilege that it is to be involved in something, to actually be in the game, to be in the arena doing the best you can to make a difference. That's essentially why I wanted to go through the MBA program, why I wanted to get involved in my community, and why I was fortunate to be associated with Rotary. And as I came to know and see many of your faces and get to know you and how you're involved in your professions, in your faith organizations, in your family, your nonprofit work, community involvement, whatever, I saw something that I knew I wanted to be a part of and something that I had deep within. And it felt great to essentially be a part of a new family with other people who are in the arena, who are involved in whatever aspect they can be to make a difference, whether it be helping out with mentoring opportunities throughout the city, international causes and movements. It was such a great, tremendous opportunity to be a part of this for the past few years. And I've come to learn so much. I want to thank Mr. Watkins, Brian Veneman for their tireless work and their efforts, as well as my mentors, Roland Blahnik and Gant Hill, for just being an inspiration and a resource to me as I was navigating through various things in my profession and trying to figure out the balance between, working hard, but also trying to work effectively and helping people in less served communities. But all I can say is I am extremely blessed and thankful to each and every one of you for just the example you provided, for the inspiration that you've given to people like me, I guess to provide the motivation to keep going and to stay in the arena. So I think, even though I hadn't had a chance to meet every single one of you, I appreciate what you've done I look forward to seeing you and bumping into you in the community and being a part of Rotary moving forward. So again, I look forward to meeting you, and thank you for this opportunity.
I want to thank both of you for really laying out what I believe is the essence of Rotary, and you captured it very well. Let's give them another round of applause. A quick shout out. How many were at the Gilda's Club last night? Right? Incredible facility. Just unbelievable. Those of you who weren't there, make it, put it on your to-do list to stop by and see the place. It's just incredible. Karen Morrison, I did see her. Oh, okay, never mind. I think she's out in the hall with, never mind. But the Gilda's Club that will be opening shortly is the largest facility of its kind in the world, and I think we just, the sweat and determination and the work that's gone into making that real is incredible. So let's give them a round of applause. Okay, one of my favorite things to do at Rotary is to introduce the person who's going to introduce our speaker today, and that's Jean West Lasavio.
1,000 fans from around the world to Louisville's waterfront every year. The three-day event features dozens of environmental action groups and provides a platform for nationally renowned speakers and environmentalists. Events throughout the festival benefit the Forecastle Foundation, a nonprofit organization focused on preserving the most ecologically diverse areas on Earth, with active projects in 5 countries. This event was founded by J.K. McKnight, St. X grad, who attended the College of Charleston, Bellarmine University, and U of L. Last year, he changed course and founded Man of the Land, the Art of Impact. It's an agency specializing in the merger of business and philanthropy, experiential marketing, partnerships, and fundraising. Forecastle started as a small community event in Tyler Park and has grown into a major international attraction that Rolling Stone magazine deemed one of the coolest festivals in America. And on a personal note, since I live across the street from Tyler Park and I'm told that that park was once part of my property, I can actually say Forecastle started in my front yard. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Welcome, J.K. McKnight.
All right. Well, thank you, Gene West. Thank you, Rotarians, for having me. It's been a couple years, I think maybe 3 or 4 since the last time I was here, but very, very happy to be here. So I don't really need to give an introduction. Gene did such a fantastic one right there, but I am J.K. McKnight, founder of Forecastle, Forecastle Foundation, and Man of the Land, the Art of Impact. And I'm here today to talk about 2 titanic shifts that are really happening in our economy right now that are changing the landscape as we know it. And the first one is one that I've really kind of been in for almost 20 years, and that's the experiential economy. And then the second one is the data-driven economy. And the first one, experiential, goes all the way back to the birth of humankind, and actually can be traced back 52 million years in our ancestral line, if you want to get clinical about it. And the other is completely new, unruly, and unrefined, the data-driven economy. And right now, in the past year, both of those economies are colliding for the very first time, and it's very exciting to see what that looks like. So I'll be going through that. The first here is the experiential economy. So what is the experiential economy? The experiential economy is when businesses design experiences for customers, and the impact of that experience actually becomes the product or service. It's a major shift in the economy based on formerly consuming services and products, and now will be an economy powered by investment in impactful, powerful, memorable experiences. It's the next progression, and it's the next level that we're seeing, and it's all being driven by millennials. Americans are buying experiences, concerts, festivals, sports, gaming, traveling, and more in larger amounts than ever seen before. In the entertainment space, where I've spent a good portion of my life, you've seen this globally. You've seen massive consolidation around the live music space. You've seen billions of dollars in acquisitions and roll-ups by the largest multinational corporations in the world. And all of that has basically been grown and been fueled by this trend that's happening right now in the growth of the experiential economy. And also the fact that artists now depend about 90% of their annual revenue on live music. So that the space has grown tremendously. But it's not just music. It's happening across all industry sectors. It's happening in hospitality. It's happening in gaming, if you've been watching that, and much more. And 75% of millennials are spending on experiences and prefer to spend on experiences versus products and services. And Gen Z, the next generation, that 40% of this consumer base will represent it in 2020, will actually push that north to 80%. So this is a trend that's been growing now for over 2 decades. And it was first established in 1998. That's when the experiential economy was coined. If you're not paying attention to it now, you need to be, because the consumer base is shifting to this very, very fast, and the smartest companies in the world are accepting it, embracing it, and making it theirs. So what does this actually mean for your business? It means packaging products and services as experiences. But that's not easy. It has to be a real story. It has to be social. It has to be about discovery. It has to be more than just brand strategy. It's not something that just can be put together in a conference room. And as a senior Red Bull executive recently told me, and Louisville native, you can't fake authenticity. So here's some examples we're going to go through of what I engineered at Forecastle, which was incredibly successful. And the first one here is Pabst Blue Ribbon. So this was an interesting experience that we designed, that nowhere in the experience was there actually a can of Pabst Blue Ribbon. The product was not featured in any way, shape, or form, yet it became one of the highest traffic, most successful activations that we had. So what was the mission of this? The mission was to leverage the stimulating festival environment to convert fan passion into impactful recycling action. So we partnered with Pabst Blue Ribbon to create a creative, artistic trading post in the middle of the Great Lawn at Waterfront Park, where brand superfans could redeem can recyclables all over the festival site and exchange them for authentic, one-of-a-kind, collectible merchandise. And the bigger the effort, the greater the reward, the cleaner the festival. The results of this were pretty tremendous. Forecastle rose from unranked to #2 nationally in waste diversion. Pabst received thousands of inspired engagements, meaningful relationships, and loyal brand advocates. And most importantly, the festival brand, music, art, activism, converged to become an impactful tone setter, attitude former, and ultimate catalyst for marketing relevance. And this was an incredible experience. And to this day, we literally have Pabst superfans that line up, 30, 40 yards down at the beginning of the festival to essentially go pick up trash all day long at the festival. And they do it. And they line up every year to do it again and again and again, because it's something social and it's something bigger than themselves. I think one of the things that we often miss is we're so focused on selling, and we're so focused on our products. But when you're working on something like this, you're actually doing something that's social, something meaningful, something memorable, and something charitable to the site. So it's an incredible experience, and Pabst is actually now replicating this nationally all over the country because of how successful it was at Forecastle. #2, Bourbon Lodge. So the mission of the Kentucky Bourbon Lodge at Forecastle was to craft the next generation of Kentucky bourbon aficionados. The strategy? Design a turn-of-the-century rickhouse meets Prohibition-era speakeasy inside Forecastle Festival. Focus on education over entertainment and culture over company. The results? The Bourbon Lodge grew from 900 square feet in 2012 to over 5,000 square feet by 2014, to the largest experiential activation in bourbon in the country. Over 30,000 separately ticketed patrons would visit the Bourbon Lodge every year, and Forecastle quickly became known as bourbon's most important festival by the Wall Street Journal. This is a really incredible story and one of the most successful brand activations I ever worked on in my career with Forecastle. And I remember the first one, I literally had to beg every brand to do it, and I ended up getting Woodford Reserve, Four Roses, and Town Branch, and we were all stuffed in like this 20 by 20 tent. We had this cheap like Kinko's banner. It said Kentucky Bourbon Lodge on it. And you know, everyone in the industry told us it wasn't going to work. You know, people told us. I remember one industry rep saying that it was too hot in the summer to drink bourbon, and that wasn't going to happen. I had people tell me that no one's going to pay all the money to go to Forecastle and then pay a separate admission to go into this experience. It's just simply not going to work. But I saw through that pretty quickly, and you know, looking to another festival, festival called Outside Lands in San Francisco, that was focusing very heavily on wine and was doing incredible things with their wine activations, that became an incredible brand asset and sellable for them. So I think we just asked ourselves, if they can do it with wine, why can't we do it with bourbon? And that was the question that we asked ourselves almost 10 years ago now. And I think we knew that the first day that we opened it that it was going to be successful, because there was a line 50 yards long to get into the Bourbon Lodge. We ended up having to pull extra security in because we underpriced everything because everyone told us nothing was going to sell, and it did. You know, and now festivals across the country have all tried to imitate it and apply it to other categories as well. So it really changed the game, both locally and nationally. And it was about culture. You know, it wasn't about actually selling individual products. It was about selling bourbon culture to the world, you know, and how we designed that and the methodical process that we did and the creativity that went through it really transcended anything you can do with a singular product. And it left people with an incredible, impactful memory that they left with, and now they know a lot more about bourbon than they did when they walked in. So the next one that I really like to talk about too is Red Bull. So I've worked with Red Bull for over 15 years now, and the mission of the Red Bull Ocean Stage, which you see right there, was to create a new music platform that elevates and enhances the festival experience and attracts a new demographic segment. So the strategy there was to dream big but start very small, curate an artist discovery stage, invite the Midwest top underground DJs to perform atop a hotel rooftop overlooking the festival, and engage cutting-edge curators, innovative technologists, non-traditional venues, and more to attract and build and sustain an audience. The results of that over time was a hotel pool party burgeoned into a main stage festival attraction with national acts. A new audience discovered Forecastle and became its fastest growing segment, while Red Bull received an impactful engagement platform for tastemakers, influencers, and early adopters. And once again, there was not a single can of Red Bull involved in any of this. And this is an incredible story too. You know, it truly started as a pool party above the Gald House in 2008, and you know, we invited mainly local and regional DJs to come and perform, and you know, it didn't look like anything that was very different than a lot of other parties happening across the country, except that it was different. And you know, over time, that stage started to develop its own community, its own culture that was highly coveted by Red Bull, but you had never known that because the Red Bull products weren't pushed in everyone's face. It was not something that was promoted. What was promoted was the experience, was the culture, was the community that we created using that music and that stage as our platform. And now that stage is actually built into I-64. If anyone's been down there and seen it, I know this guy has many times. But it's pretty incredible. We literally took, you know, what was once a pool party, and now, you know, we have all this scaffolding and all this infrastructure built underneath I-64 that creates a completely different vibe, a stage that no one's ever really seen before, and you know, has become a huge attraction nationwide now for people, and really its own brand. You know, everyone associates the Ocean Stage, as we call it now, with Red Bull, but like I said, there's not a single can of Red Bull there. So really, really successful there. And, you know, this kind of goes into walking around the site, you know, at Forecastle. What you probably don't notice is that there's 75 brands weaved meticulously, creatively, methodically throughout the entire site. And it really is, you know, there's a sea of activity happening, and you know, you can go through everything and not even notice that these brands are essentially in camouflage. You know, nothing is overt, nothing's pushed out to you. And that goes not only for Forecastle, but there's a good shot of Bourbon Lodge, but all the different festivals that I worked on. I think we had someone from Knoxville earlier, Knoxville Festival, High Water in Charleston, South Carolina, Sloss in Birmingham, Alabama, and Bonnaroo in Tennessee there. So this is what the experiential economy really is all about. It's about the sum being greater than the parts, and the parts being the products and services. It's about a uniform expression that touches people in a deep, meaningful way, opens them up to brand engagements that they would have never previously, that they previously would have dismissed if it was presented more in the traditional sense of marketing. And you know, I think in this day and age, it's still amazing to me that most people that work in the experiential economy see companies that spend right now $109 billion on platforms that are essentially intrusive, disruptive, and immeasurable, and every day becoming more and more ineffective and irrelevant. Which leads me to the next part of our conversation here about the data-driven decision-making economy. So what does that mean? What does it mean, data-driven marketing, data-driven decision-making, data-driven economy? You've heard a lot about this. I'm sure anyone who's been reading the industries right now, you see data focused on a lot. And you know, data's very interesting. What does data-driven decision-making mean? It means letting data
Adjourn.